for those of you that don't know me, my name's Geraldine Bell. So I'm the UK Business Development Manager with Scanning Pens, and I look after UK colleges, universities, British international schools. So I normally get to travel abroad, and I also am responsible for the UK independent schools, but I very much predominantly work with colleges and universities. So over the next 45 minutes or so, I'll tell you a little bit about us. I'm going to take a look at our products, and then we're going to concentrate on the exam reader pens, which is this bright orange pen that I've got in my hands here. So this is a pen that you've got in college, and the pens that students are going to be using to support them in exams. I do have quite a few video presentations in this, but I'm only going to play you two today. And then when you got the presentation, you can watch the others later. So it's just some of the videos that I think when you've got time, you should actually watch. And then we're going to look at some evidence and impact. I've got this webinar in webinar mode at the moment, but as there's only a few of you on this session, I will put it into a meeting which will allow you to speak if you've got any questions at the end, or you can just simply type your questions in the chat room. So let's get going with this. So scanning pens, if you're not familiar with scanning pens, we've been established over 15 years now. I would normally report into the Telford office in the UK. So that's based out of the University of Wolverhampton campus, but I'm zooming into you from the north. I'm just based on the outskirts of Leeds city centre, and I've been working remotely since the end of March. So I normally do this kind of session on site on campus with you, and we'd have a practical in how to use the pens. But as I say, I've been doing this since March. We've also got offices in the States, Australia, Canada, and India. And the pens that we supply convert text to speech. And we supply our pens to thousands and thousands of students, schools, colleges, and universities throughout the world. We were starters of the International Dyslexia Awareness Movement. So if you're active on social media, look out for our hashtag Succeed with Dyslexia. And we've got a huge company ethos on improving literacy for all with reading difficulties. The photograph on this slide here shows some of our UK team at BET back in January, which seems an absolute lifetime ago. We were actually allowed to go out and do events. But in the centre of that photograph, you've got our two founders. Jack Churchill is himself suffers with dyslexia and does throughout his education and working life, but he's actually holding the BET Award because we're proud to receive the BET Company of the Year Award. And next to Jack, we've got our other founder, Toby Sutton. So that was us at BET, and hope to be there. Won't be next year as in January 21, but hopefully the following year BET will be up and running again. So that's the company. And as I say, we've got offices throughout the world, but the pens we have, as well as this exam reader pen, we've also got what I like to call the day-to-day reader pen. So that's very feature rich. It's got dictionaries on there, it's got storage, it's got a voice recorder. And most colleges will invest in the exam reader pen, but they tend to roll out this pen as well. But as I say, this pen would not be allowed in an exam environment. We also have the Connect pen. This is a great Bluetooth device which allows students to capture content and data and text from books, and then they can download an app to the mobile device, and then they can share that content elsewhere. The Lingo pen is the black pen, and as that suggests, it's a language pen. It translates individual words and supports up to about 12 languages. Our latest launch this year was Reader Pen Secure. And Reader Pen Secure is basically a stripped down version of the Reader Pen. It's used in secure environments or where data has to be locked down because there's no storage in it. So this pen gets used, for instance, in prison service education because there's no storage on it. And then the one we're interested in today is the exam reader pen. So this is a JCQ exam approved pen. So if you've not had access to these pens already, they are a mid-tech solution, sophisticated device. You know that they're small enough to go in a student's bag. They can put it in the pocket. There's no Wi-Fi required for these pens to work at all. As long as they're charged up, and I don't know if you can see on the screen, my battery is running a bit low on this particular pen. You've got 8 hours life on them the very next day. There's no Wi-Fi access, there's no web browser on them, so they are distraction free, and like other technical solutions, they can't access the web and start browsing. They simply do what they're designed to do, and that's convert text to speech. So if you haven't already seen the pens, they do come complete with a USB cable, and once they're charged up, you've got 8 hours battery life on them the next day. If you are using them in exams and exams are running throughout the day, I would suggest that you try and recharge them in between use and make sure that battery is charged up regularly. They also come complete with a protective leather case, and they come with earphones as well. So most students prefer to use their own earphones. Down at the base of the pen, you'll see the charger and the device to actually plug in your earphones in there. Okay. So the exam reader pen allows students to basically sit in the exam hall with everybody else. It's a JCQ approved device, and it's JCQ approved because there's no storage, there's no dictionary on here, and no thesaurus. It was a real positive move to say the update from JCQ at the beginning of this academic year, suggesting that the use of technology, Senkers may wish to consider the use of technology to a much greater extent instead of using readers and scribes. And as I visit colleges and speak to colleges, human readers are very much still the norm in a lot of institutions, but we do have probably over 60% of the UK FE market who've actually rolled out these exam reader pens. I think the important thing to mention as well about the exam reader pens is that they can be used in the GCSE English reading exam, and it's English and Maths GCSE resits where we've seen huge growth over the last 3 to 4 years. So as I say, this pen can be taken into the GCSE English reading, whereas students are not allowed a human reader in that particular exam. So hopefully you've all had access to these pens. If you haven't, it's a very simple menu to sort of navigate around. Hopefully you can see the screen. The screen on the slide may be a bit clearer, but once they're charged up, you've got your navigation wheel over to the right here, and you can navigate up and down, left and right using the menu, and then there's a wheel in the center. So once you switch this on, all you can see is text reader and settings, and that's the only settings that you have. So you just click on the central wheel here, and this pen is now ready to scan. So switch on, ensure it's charged, and this pen is basically ready to go. It's quite important that students learn to hold the pen correctly. So it needs to be held up at a 75-degree angle. And if you can see the palm of my hand now, as I just put some light pressure on it, a light comes on. That indicates the pen is ready to scan. And it's a camera that's picking up text. It will not scan writing. I do get asked a lot if it will scan handwriting. They are designed to scan printed text, so it won't read out, for example, the answers that students have written. If you do have students that require that much support, then you may combine exam reader pen with a human reader. So as you see, if I hold it upright, a light comes on, and then I'm basically ready to scan. So I'm holding this at about a 75-degree angle. When I do training on site, it's quite natural for students and users to relax the muscles in their hands and hold it horizontally. Now, if I was actually to scan a piece of paper now and some text, can you see as I'm gliding that across? Sorry, it's not very clear possibly on this. The light isn't coming on. It needs to be upright. So do watch out for that when you're showing students how to use the pen, because as I say, they naturally relax these muscles here and hold it like they would a normal pen or highlighter. So that is quite important. This slide here will show you sort of the main settings within the pen. So that's quite a good guide to refer to, and hopefully you've all received our user guides. If you haven't, you can request those via myself or via our support team, but the user guides will take you through the latest menu options. So as I say, you've just got text reader and settings. So within settings, it will allow you to select languages. So as well as the English language, we also support Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese, Russian, Swedish, and Chinese. So it supports Mandarin. Obviously, you guys will select English. We do have a wizard setup, and one of the newest updates this year was accent. So as well as it having the English accent, the American English accent, you can also select Australian, Latin, American, and Spanish. So may be useful if you have students studying another language. There's also within the menu guide something called auto read. It's always on auto read, but you can change that. And if you have it on auto read, it basically allows the students to scan as much content as they want, and then they just simply press the play button and they can play back the entire piece of comprehension and listen to it as many times as they wish. These pens were originally designed just to scan a word, a sentence, but feedback is that the students want to scan, or some of them do anyway, quite large pieces of text. And as I say, it will allow them to do them. Also within settings, it will allow you to change from left to right-handed, and you can change the speed at which it reads back. There's punctuation pauses. So students can set it up to their own personal preferences, but there is a wizard setup with these pens. So you can take it back to the wizard setup if you're a bit confused, and it will take you through the entire menu settings. There's also something called talking menu. I find this quite distracting because it basically, if you have it switched on, it will talk you through the entire menu. But this can be quite useful perhaps for students that are partially sighted. So as long as they can guide a pen across a line of text, then perhaps the talking menu would also guide them through the menu that's actually on the pen. I'm not going to play this particular video, but obviously you guys are interested in using these pens for exams. So if you do have another 50 minutes free, then I would suggest that you look up on our Scanning Pens YouTube channel a presentation that was filmed at the beginning of this academic year from Samantha Garner. Samantha Garner is a renowned speaker, author, and trainer, and she's a wealth of experience in supporting students with dyslexia, particularly in exams. So again, if you've got a real interest in supporting students with dyslexia and supporting them in exams, then do take some time out to watch that particular video. We've also got a wealth of resources from our own internal Senko and Head of Education, Julia Clouter. She's also going to be putting some new resources together this year for colleges. So if you do feel anything's missing, then you can get in touch with Julia. We do have our user guides, which hopefully you have received, and Julia runs a number of training sessions as well. which I'll guide you to at the end of this presentation. But this video here is actually a demonstration on how to use a reader pen and exam reader, so you can refer back to this one as well once we've finished the session. So that's quite a good one to watch. And this one's a very short one, again, to watch at a later date. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it's quite a quirky, quick little video on 4 steps to implement the exam reader pen. So that's a good one to watch as well. So as I mentioned, hints and tips of how to use the pens. Do ensure students are holding it correctly. Don't let them relax the hands. If you're actually with them, just watch out on how they're scanning the pen. The more use they have of these pens, the quicker they will become. And just get them to practice and hold the pen down at the base of the pen. I get a lot of students as well that actually hold it at the top of the pen, and it can be a bit flimsy. So it's a firm grip, as upright as possible, and scan. And as I say, the more practice, the quicker they will become in scanning words or sentences. I think the good thing about these pens as well is once they've scanned, so if, for example, it was an exam question, they can listen to it as many times as they want. And if there's a particular word they don't understand, they can just highlight using the navigation panel over here, and they can listen to that as many times as they want, because they might just want to validate and ensure that they understand what the particular word is. So you've introduced these pens. I think that's absolutely fantastic. You possibly have always used human readers, and you'll possibly still continue to use human readers. These pens are not for everybody. The student has to be confident in using them, and especially competent in using them if they're going to take them into exams. JCQ have also stipulated it needs to be the student's normal way of working. So you certainly wouldn't hand these pens out the morning of an exam. They need to be using them all through the academic year. And obviously that helps them in the exam because they're fully confident in how to use them. Human readers can be expensive. Other challenges I've been made aware of when I'm visiting colleges is that they don't always have enough human readers. I've had colleges that have had recruitment problems. So although there is an investment in these pens, hopefully long term it will save you as an institution money. For exams and students, I think for any student sitting in an exam, it can be quite an anxious time for them. Anxieties can be at an all-time high. A lot of students I've trained and I've met over the years, they do really lack that confidence. They've got low self-esteem. They don't want to be put in a separate room to everybody. They want to be in the exam hall with everybody else. Some are not familiar with the exam invigilators or support on the day of exams. So again, they don't have the confidence to put their hand up. I've spoken to a lot of exam invigilators who will sit in an exam room with students and they don't even ask a question. And then if a student is competent to put their hand up and want to ask a question, again, it's like, well, how many times can I ask them a question? It's so embarrassing. This can really help them because they can just scan it and listen to it over and over. So as I say, it can really help them. So I'm going to play you a video now, which we filmed just before lockdown. I'm hoping you'll all be able to hear this. So this is from Wolverhampton College. It's about 5 minutes long, and it shows feedback both from students and the lead Senko there, a lady called Sam. So I'm going to play you the video now.
I didn't want to go to school because I really struggled. I couldn't read until I come to Metro 1 and discovered that there's a reading pen that reads the words out.
Initially what we did was we bought the first exam pack we bought, and we met with our English team, so all of our teachers who teach English, and we ask them to start using them in their lessons.
So I was introduced to the e-reader pen by the learning support team, and it's great for me because it's easy accessible. I can put it in my bag, and every time I need it I can just get it out, put my earphones on, and then I'm not disturbing anybody else in the class, and then I'm getting on with my own work.
When I'm doing the assessments for access arrangements, I'm finding more and more that people are saying that they had a reader at school, but actually they don't like somebody sitting there with them, and actually it makes them feel different to everybody else. They just want to be treated the same as everybody else.
Now I'm in college and I use a reader pen now during exams. I like to have that with me, to put my headphones in. I found it to be very, very good. I don't have a person sitting next to me helping me during the exams. I have the exam reader to do that for me. It's given me better results as well, which I'm very pleased about. I was very nervous and I've gained a lot more confidence by using that reader pen.
We're actually getting students now that are coming to us that have used them at school, so they almost expect us to have them now here at college, because if they've got something and they've used something successfully at school, then why wouldn't they want to use the same thing at college? You don't need JCQ approval for them to be able to use a reader pen, which, you know, whereas versus anybody who does awards access arrangements will know that when you do an assessment, the amount of paperwork that comes alongside with that assessment is massive, really. The beauty for us is with reader pens is you can award them as long as the student's confident user, it's their normal way of working, and actually by loaning them out of our study hub, they are actually making that part of their normal way of working. You can give somebody all the time in the world with regards to extra time, but if somebody can't read or can't comprehend a text, then actually it doesn't matter how much extra time you give them, they're still not going to be able to pass it. Ultimately, we're trying to prepare people for going on for university or work, where, you know, the chances are they're not going to get that same level of support. So, and particularly in the workplace, you know, if we can encourage students to be taking pens into the workplace, as we have got students that do, then actually we're empowering them for their future.
One day a week I work in a salon, and the pen is really helpful there because if there's anything I don't understand when I'm mixing hair dye, I can use the pen to read the instructions and make them more clear for myself. I told my employer when I started that I had this pen, so therefore they are aware and let me use it any time that I need to.
We have students that come out of exams from using them feeling on top of the world because they genuinely think they've done better than they've ever done before when they've used one.
When I first applied for the hairdressing course, I didn't think there'd be as much theory based as there is, and this made me quite nervous because I was worried about customers and how I would respond to them. But with the help of the college and the reader pen, this has made me more confident and helped me pass my first level course and hopefully now my second year course.
Hi, so I think some of you, well, Penny, I don't think you could hear that particular one, so apologies for that. Hopefully the rest of you could watch that video, but I think it gives you a really good overview of how both the students and some main drivers from Sam of why the pens were introduced. So they were actually finding that a lot of students had access to them in secondary school, and secondary schools are one of our biggest users of the pens now. The next video, it is a university video, but I do want to play you this one. Again, they very much use the exam readers. They've probably got about 300 exam reader pens. So again, it gives you an overview of main drivers for introduction to the pens and gives you really good feedback from the students. So I'll play this one now for you. And again, this is about 5 minutes long.
My name is Thomas O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Assistive Technology Officer at the University of Limerick. We have approximately around 12,000 students. The courses range from engineering and science to education to music to humanities.
My name's Pat Hoey. I'm the Access Manager in the University of Limerick. So that role is really managing initiatives that look at widening participation to the university for groups that are underrepresented in higher education, and one of those would be people with disabilities. I think for us, and for all educators in third level, we have to think, and indeed the students need to think about professions after education. So we're not just teaching our students, we are getting them ready for when they graduate.
When new students arrive, they normally come to Disability Services when we have an assessment with them. We sometimes give them extra time, sometimes we give them human readers. But we found that a lot of students were reluctant to ask the invigilator to read the question for them if someone else was present in the room. And what happens was there were so many rooms required for readers that we were stretching almost the whole length of our whole main building. We knew this wasn't practical going forward, so we had to find that kind of solution, and that's where the exam reader pen came in. We tried it with 5 students and it worked really well. So they replaced the need for human readers in the classroom.
The fact that we had the pen was, was really a miracle. That you could actually negotiate yourself through a text without input from another individual. You could get yourself into an exam situation where you could actually read the questions yourself. So you were fully informed, you were independent.
The technology that the university have shown me, I didn't know any of it before coming into the university. The pen makes it much easier, kind of less awkwardness there, that you're not asking someone, you're not relying on someone to read something back to you that you just couldn't make head nor tail of. But if you have the pen, you've no fear of that at all. You can just scan whatever you want, go over it and listen back.
We found out with our students that feedback was starting to come, that people were misreading questions. But now with the reading pens, I'm not getting that feedback. These pens read out perfectly. They read out with a proper accent. They don't have to worry about mistaken words.
Sometimes I just miss words in the question, and then it can lead to me writing stuff that's not relevant if I read the question wrong. Chemistry, it kind of helps because they're bigger words and you can actually hear what they sound like, but I try to know how to say them.
We train the students usually in the weeks leading up to the exams. It's about a 10-minute session that we do with the students around the reading pen. We scan in past exam papers, I go through the features of the pen, and then all the students get to trial it out. The students seem to pick up the pen really easily because the features on it are pretty straightforward. I
had like a day introduction to actually use the reading pen, that you had to change it from left-handed to right-handed because I'm left-handed.
Once you have your headphones in and you have the voice there and you're constantly concentrating on scanning it, it makes it so much handier that you have something to concentrate on. There's nothing really outside you because you're looking down at the page, the headphones in the ear, you're hearing it back. So there's very little to actually distract you.
So we started originally with 5 reading pens. After that we moved to, I think it was 37. Then it went to, I think, 126 last semester. I think we worked it out in the first exams. Just with first years alone, I think it saved us something like €7,000. But we were predicting that maybe when every year is using it, that we'd be saving approximately 25,000 a semester. But most of all, it's taken over that need for the students to be reliant on someone else. We can't send them out into the work environment not being able to read handouts of material that they've been given anything in hard copy. So now the students can take reading pens out into the workplace, they can scan text away, they don't have to be embarrassed.
It's efficiency for the organisation, but also efficiency for the student. The key thing for us is to make that individual independent, empowered, learn their programme of study, learn their profession, and then being able to transfer into a work environment seamlessly and be confident.
The university is very supportive in that the technology isn't just based towards schooling or education. They're feeling like, I'm only allowed to use that in college or only on college material. I found there's actually one girl that I was talking to, a friend of mine, that uses the pens as well. And she says she has in her bag with her, and if she's ever in a restaurant or something and she sees something on a menu, she scans them as well and she carries it around with her.
So the pens enabling to work better in a work environment. If you had only a day to read a thing, it might be easier to have a reading pen just to go over the stuff instead of sitting down and reading it yourself. You could have a little bit of an aid.
Some students would feel that their disability would have a negative impact, but they can be confident and say, look, I have this technology and it's worked for me. I have a first in my degree. I got that through being an independent learner, through the use of reading pens, and it makes me as efficient as anyone else. Probably makes me more efficient because I have to think outside the box. I've had to adapt, and I can adapt also in employment.
Hi, so hopefully those videos played for you okay. I think both of them are really good, and as I say, it gives you feedback both from students and staff as to why they introduce them, how the students find them. And I think, you know, it's all about making the students work independently, sit in exams independently, improve their confidence, particularly with this age group. You are preparing these kids for their next transition, whatever that might be, if that's indeed onto higher education or indeed to transition through into full-time employment. And they won't have access to all the support that they can currently access in college. And again, if you're very much with this pandemic we've got at the moment, I think education's just been disrupted, as have all our lives. But again, students with special educational needs may not be in college all the time. I know a lot of colleges are running everything online, and students are possibly only in once or twice a week. So again, this is where this technology can come in and support you and the students. So we do have a lot of evidence and impact. Just to highlight some of the other colleges that use the technology: Bradford, Manchester, and Leeds City College. Probably, well, they do sit in our top 10 of college users. Manchester and Leeds City College trialed the pens a few years ago now. They had issues with the number of students coming through who were studying GCSE Maths and English, had to do resits. Leeds City College actually had 6,000 students, and about 1,200 of those students required support with reading. They didn't have enough rooms, and they certainly didn't have the staff to support them. So we ran quite a big trial at Leeds City College. It was very successful. The students engaged with it, so they've rolled out the pens right across college. Bradford College, again, similar issues there. Again, staff, it was costing them a lot of money to support these kids. So they introduced the exam reader pens, and they're just about to roll out. So they're probably about 4 years into use of this technology, but they're just about to roll out the reader pen now right across the English department. So we'll be getting a new update and case study from them quite soon. So once you get a copy of this presentation, you can click through on these and it'll take you direct into these case studies. And Swindon College was an interesting one. They actually had problems recruiting staff, and it's a guy there called John Bacon who supports us in a lot of our webinar presentations, and there's a great case study from John and reasons behind why he introduced the pens into their college. So Manchester College, just to give you some feedback, 88% of their students said they would recommend the use of the exam reader, and 100% of their students found the exam reader either easy or very easy to use. And as Limerick pointed out, just 10 minutes training and their students are normally up and running. As I say, the features are very easy to navigate around and use the pens. So Trudy Coleman has done a lot of research with us. Again, they actively use the reader pens and the exam reader pens. You'll find a great video from Trudy on our Scanning Pens YouTube channel. It's about 10 minutes long, but just to highlight some of the results from them. Students say it's a good piece of technology that can help a lot of people. I believe that the exam reader helped a lot in the exam, and I'm happy to get to use it in my exam. And they are brilliant for words that you don't understand. And 71% of their students who said that they use the exam reader agree that they understood the questions. So again, we do have a full written report and a video that was filmed recently from Trudy, which might be worth you guys watching as well. We did some research with the University of Bath as well a few years ago, and the students that participated in that were secondary school students. 72% felt that their reading had improved, and 99 out of the 121 that participated in the study indicated that when they used the pens for the range of subjects, they felt that they had been really helpful. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have our in-house Senko and head of education, a lady called Julia Clouter. So she runs the introduction sessions, which are very much like this session that you've just participated in. She also runs implementation sessions and SPLD learning support sessions. I think Jo is going to look at booking into some of those sessions next year. So do watch out for the invitations to join those sessions. And if you want anything tailoring around a specific learning difficulty, then again, Julia's got a wealth of experience in that area, and she's available for any questions or difficulties you may be having with particular students. So she not only advises on using this technology, but offers guidance and support in other areas as well. So you may want to jot Julia's contact details down. You can contact Julia direct at julia@scanningpens.com. And she runs a lot of specialist webinars as well, where she invites guest speakers along. So do watch out for the up and coming Scanning Pens webinars that are going to be on our webinar board for next year. So we're sort of coming to the end of this presentation now. I think to summarize the benefits of using this technology, especially in exams, it's going to help students reduce their anxiety, should I say. It will help support them in exams. It will allow them to scan over the questions, listen to them as many times as they want. Hopefully it's going to improve outcomes for them and they are going to pass the exams. I know for students resitting maths and English, the outcomes have been really positive for them. It's going to increase their independence and confidence, and it's going to prepare them to be either workplace ready or transition through into higher ed. And hopefully you as an institution, it's going to reduce your exam costs, especially if you're running across multiple campuses, you're having to find separate rooms, you may not have all the staff to support them when it comes around to exam time. So as I say, JCQ have approved this pen. It does need to be the student's normal way of working. And I think the best advice to give you is just let the students try them out, give them a quick training session, ensure they're holding it right. I think another important thing to point out is if you do give it to a left-handed student and it's set to left-handed, do ensure that you change it back to right-handed. Otherwise, it will just scan a load of gobbledygook. They can listen through the audio on the pen, or they can plug their earphones in, and obviously that's what they would do in an exam setting. So as I say, you have two menu options once you've switched on. If you want to go straight into scanning, you just click text reader, the screen clears and it's ready to go. You've also got a quick menu once you're on this screen as well. So there's a little button at the top there. So you just press that and then it will take you into the various options and you can navigate around those going up and down using this navigation wheel over here. You can't do anything wrong. If you're a bit confused once you've got the pens, you don't know whether it's in the right setting, perhaps it's speaking in a French accent back to you, then just go back to Wizard or just simply go into settings or the menu within text reader and you can work your way through it as to students' personal preferences or user settings. And that's basically it. And just ensure that they're holding it right. As I say, I get a lot of them holding it and relaxing it like that, and it will not work if it's been held like that. It needs to be like that and held at the base. So that's the presentation. Thank you all so much for listening. As I say, there is going to be a recording of this. It goes through to our video team, so they will edit it down. So I'm not sure whether I'll be able to get that back to you this week, but fingers crossed we can. If not, I'll send it through in the new year. I will send a copy of this presentation today. So once you get the presentation, you can click on the other video links that I suggested that you watched. For more information, please visit scanningpens.co.uk exam reader, and you'll be able to access case studies. Do visit our YouTube channel. As I say, we've hundreds of videos on there, both from external speakers like Samantha Garner and Trudy Coleman from Norwich City Academy. And look out for our up and coming webinar sessions in the new year. I do have a webinar coming up with one of the Pearson Silver Award winners for their use in assistive technology on the 27th of January. And that's a presentation from Barton Sixth Form College, which I'm going to be hosting at 11 o'clock. We haven't published that one yet, but do look out for that one. And then I've also got a presentation coming up in the new year from Oldham College, who are being awarded the Dyslexia Smart Award. So they're going to be talking about how they support their dyslexic students. So I don't know if any of you got any questions at all. If you do have any questions, you can put them in the chat room at the bottom there. I can answer them now for you, or you can simply email me, geraldine@scanningpens.com, or you can get in touch with our Head of Education and Senko, Julia Clouter, just by simply emailing julia@scanningpens.com. So I hope you enjoy the pens. I hope your students enjoy the pens, and that's it, unless anybody's got any questions, but thank you.